We've been focused on how do you build agents that are very trustworthy and very reliable. So with Qualcomm, we have a very deep partnership. We see there could be a lot of the strategic partnerships where we can be more directly integrated with services. See that as the evolution of technology as it becomes better and better over time. So I would say our vision is how can we go and build on-device super intelligence.
We are here at MWC Barcelona. Welcome to Counterpoint Conversations. Neil Shah, Research and VP co-founder at Counterpoint Research. And we have Claudia Krehl, who heads our UX practice and research, primary research. And we have a very special guest, Div Garg, who is founder and CEO of very hot startup, AGI, helping with AI solutions on device. Hey Div, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah. So can you tell me about your inception and your journey so far?
Sure.
What you guys are doing and what is your North Star?
Sure. So I'll just start with the background. Personally, I've been in the AI space for almost a decade now. I started my journey working a lot on innovative AI solutions like self-driving cars, robotics. What's the next big thing that can create a lot of impact for society? Afterwards, I was in the Stanford doing a PhD in CS. Here and built a lot of agents, a lot of innovative techniques on reinforcement learning. I have 10 patents in the field right now. And I eventually dropped out to build one of the first AI agents in the whole industry. And that was called my found. We raised over $30 million with some of the top venture capitalists. And we built the first agentic browser. If you see all the computer use agents right now, we were the early pioneers of the whole field in a sense. And so that was really fun. And I've been now working on agents for almost 3 years now. And AGI started as a research lab. So we spent this out of Multi almost last year. And then now AGI has been running for almost, I would say, 9 months now. And we have been focused on how do you build agents that are very trustworthy and very reliable. And what we see as the missing ingredient right now is you don't know if an agent will do what it's told to do. So if you look at a lot of projects out there, like OpenClaw, for example, it makes a lot of mistakes. It has a lot of security loopholes. Things can go wrong all the time. So you want to fix this. And we think that the right way to do this will be to build something that's local, you can run directly on your phone, on your PCs, and then there's no security issues.
Correct. It's private as well.
Yes.
Right. So if you're doing it on device, you have to work with players like Qualcomm to optimize the model.
Yeah.
And how big is the model? Because you're seeing the RAM, there's a memory wall as well. So how do you optimize the model and how big is the model and how do you train it?
So we have a suite of different models. So you have some models that are 8 billion size. We have now training some models that are 2 billion and under 1 billion. And we see this, we can support a whole suite of different devices. So we can be building models for phones, for PCs, for wearables, like smart glasses, smart watches, anything that's coming out in the market. And we want to enable an ecosystem of smart devices.
What are your current products, or where have you currently partnered, and what is live, what is commercial right now?
So we have our app here. So this is an assistant that's part of the phone itself, and it can control any app that's installed on your phone. So I can just very simply talk to it and say hey AGI, can you call me an Uber to the Barcelona airport? I can figure it out and take actions and do the whole thing for me. And so our AI is powerful enough to control any app on the phone and do it securely with the local model running on the phone itself. And right now we're partnering with a lot of device OEMs, including Lenovo is one of our partners. They're also showing our agents at their booths, where we are doing partnerships with all the big OEMs in the world, in a sense. A lot of them are under NDAs, so I can't mention them right now. But we just see a humongous demand for the technology we're building.
No, I saw that demo on Motorola phones, and it was really flawless. Whereas a person asked to share a LinkedIn profile on Slack to a team member, and he exactly identifies which person to send to on Slack.
Yeah.
It was pretty neat, very good. So, my colleague has some question on the UX part of it.
It's short.
Hi, thank you for joining us today. I was wondering if you could talk us through when you designed the app, how to create a good user experience to make sure that more and more people adopt this kind of agentic AI.
Sure.
And then use it as well.
So one, I will just say this is a very groundbreaking concept. There's no apps like this right now that can control the whole phone.
Correct.
And so when we were designing this, we were trying to be very first principle. We're how do we get the best experience where I can just talk to it and it's doing things for me? And we've tried to build a lot of wow factors. So we show a glow to the user so they know what's happening. Right. We can basically display the AI can pop up. It can ask for confirmations. If there's something ambiguous, it can ask you a question. And we're trying to make it very human interactive. So it's almost I'm talking to a person. So you just want to talk to it and it can talk back to you. It can show you a widget on the fly. we are imagining a world where like every device is appless. You don't have any apps installed on the phone anymore. I just talk to the phone and the phone figures it out, does things for me in the background, and just gives me the answer.
That's great. That's enough played with the demo as well, and it really does do that. You see all the feedback, and you can understand exactly what's going on in the background, which is really helpful for the user experience.
Yeah.
Have you done anything for instance, for people who find it harder to interact with devices? So maybe elderly who struggle with reading the small text sizes, or any other users in terms of inclusion and
No. So that's a great question, and we definitely think like accessibility is a very big market for what we're doing, and there are a lot of people who might have motor issues, vision issues, maybe like hand injuries, or imagine like if you want to drive a car, like you want to use your phone while you're driving, and for a lot of these hands-free use cases, there's nothing out there that can solve these problems, and so we want to be like the first product that can help a lot of people that fall into this category. And if I can just talk to my phone, I don't have to use my hands manually for typing, clicking. It can be a big painkiller for like a big variety of people.
Yeah, that's really great to see. And I love the way also that it connects with all of your apps, and then you do not have to go through the process of actually searching for it. And it's a lot really seamless experience. So, thanks.
Your partnerships are important, like Qualcomm and other OEMs, right? Which are also customers, right? So, what are you learning so far in your journey in terms of accessibility on the device? First of all, I would say if particular OEM gives you space on it, so do you deeply integrate with their own model, or do you have your own model which keeps on learning? So, are they separate or they connect?
So first of all, we build our own models, and so this is like a model that's like powering like the AI that's running here, for example, and in run locally. And what are we doing? What we're doing with OEMs is we're giving them a custom model. So like for say if we work with our partner like Lenovo,
Yeah.
we're building a custom model for them. So that is like trained on their the apps they care about, the use cases their users care about.
On it.
And then we're making sure like those are work at close to 100% reliability.
Right.
And then we are like making this as into almost like a service, whereas we can become the agentic player that's like enabling all the smart devices. So if you work with like different companies like Qualcomm, and if they want to launch like a new smart device, then we can work with them to optimize those models for the particular use cases. And we see that becoming like a humongous opportunity for us.
Some of the queries could be complex. So I know this is done mostly on device. So do you see a play where you can also send it to cloud?
Yeah. So we do see like there can be a combination of on-device and hybrid. And hybrid is very useful for like older phones.
Right.
So if you have like a budget phone or something that was made in like select 10 years ago, it probably will not be able to support the AI model right now. And in that case, we see like running on the cloud is actually better. And so we've been thinking about optimization where to save battery life or being more conservative on the console device memory. A lot of the smaller short queries can be handled on the device, but for longer queries, we can extend it to the cloud.
Got it. And talking about optimization, so what are you doing with Qualcomm?
So with Qualcomm, we have a very deep partnership. So we're thinking about like how can the model itself be a part of the chipset that comes with any OEM. Right. Most OEMs use like the same chipset that Qualcomm launches every year. So they have the flagship Snapdragon chipsets. And what we're doing with Qualcomm is like making sure our models can like utilize all the resources on the chip. So they have this thing called NPUs, which are the custom accelerators. So we're compiling our models on NPUs, making sure they are able to use like 100% of the memory RAM here. And that's a big win, because if you can do this, then if you're a device manufacturer or you are a developer who wants to build a smart device, then you just buy the chipset. Our models will already be optimized. Now you have an agent running out of the box. And that's a good win, because like it's so hard to optimize agents, hard to make them fast, reliable, accurate. You don't want to be like dealing with those things, right? Like if I'm a developer, I just want to like launch this cool thing. I don't want to be spending all my time just debugging small issues.
Correct. And you're solving a lot of problems, as you said. You don't have to have deep integrations with different applications. But is there a way in future where you could see that happening with some of the key marquee apps where you have integration? Because some of the marquee apps might not want to participate right now. Maybe it's on Android, then maybe Meta won't participate directly with Google. So you might be a neutral player for that.
Yes. So we do see that happening over time. Like as we create more distribution, as we grow as a company, we see like there can be like a lot of the strategic partnerships where we can be more directly integrated with services. So if you're like using Uber, it's possible we have a direct connection to Uber, so we are able to directly call the app in the background. And so we see that as the evolution of technology as it becomes better and better over time.
And finally, as you said, you are going beyond mobile phones to other devices as well. Maybe XR or wearables and so forth. You also see home as an important area.
Totally. So we want to basically enable this kind of like smart devices everywhere in your home as well as off your office. The way we imagine this is like we want the devices to become like humans.
Right.
Like I talk to it, it talks back to me, it's learning about me, it has memory, it has personalization. Right. So it's like a very intelligent device. And we imagine that happening through everything that you might have at your home. So if you have a fridge, can that become like an AI fridge? If you have a speaker, can that become an AI speaker? If you have a TV, can that become like an AI TV? And can you now have this experience, this like a agent or running on all this suite of devices? It knows you and it's personalized to you.
And some of your partners does it well because they have a broader ecosystem, but you can have all learnings and knowledge graphs on the top for that particular user.
Yep.
But for you, what prefer? Because you have custom white label stuff as well, but you have your personal app as well,
Yep.
which users, it's a B2C approach. So in terms of knowledge graph for a particular user, how do you see, will it be with the OEM or will it also be residing in the app?
That's a great question. I think we leave it to our partners to some extent.
Yeah.
Like this is something we are already starting to do. And like if like someone wants to use our out of the box solution, they can use it. And we have some of the best engineers that are working on this problem. You also see like for some OEMs, they already have personalization. They've already like built a lot of like data modes. And so they want to be able to tap into that. And so we give them a package. It's like, okay, like if you want just the agent, you can just use just the agent. But if you also want personalization memory, then we can give that to you as a stack.
Got it. And your final question,
Sure.
What is your North Star with this company and your approach?
So I would say our vision is like, how can we go and build on-device super intelligence?
Okay.
So can you have like the power of like GPT-5? If you look at Opus, can the same amount of capabilities happen locally with the model running on the device itself? And we think if we can do that, that will usher in an era of truly democratized intelligence.
Correct.
And that will be great for user privacy, security. You can basically have a personalized model for yourself, and that
Correct.
model will live with you,
Yeah.
and you own it.
Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you very much, Dev.
Thank you.
Pleasure talking to you and fantastic work. Thank you very much.
Yeah.